Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Now let's hear it for our special guest host, Alex Abuyuan.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Alliance Nation, to the Activity Call. We're fired up. My name is Alex Abuyuan. I was brought into the business by Mr. Andy Albright back a few years ago. And I just am so humbled and excited that Andy asked me to host this call. And I am so excited to bring on the folks that have really helped me. I've learned tremendous amount from them, and I want to unleash them on you. I brought them into the business years ago, but more importantly, it's been great to see how they've flowered and grown and watch their families grow up. And we're godparents to each other's kids. It's pretty amazing when you look back at what we've been able to do together. And we've grown up in the business together. And so I got, when they asked me to pick a topic and pick guests, it's like, man, why not bring on people that, Andy has helped us make, I'm at 8 figures. I think we're all on track in that for total income, but more importantly, been able to create relationships that will last the rest of our lives. And so I'm very humbled to be on the call. And as you read on the email blast, we're going to talk about 3 things. And I think when I look back at my career so far in the business and my career going forward, the most important things that I've learned and the things that Andy has taught me is, dude, you got 3 things to invest: time, money, and emotion. And what does that really mean? So I've brought on some of my best friends in the business that will help you understand the whole idea behind investment. And without that investment mentality, we would, all 4 of us would not be where we are. And I think all our families wouldn't have the success that they're having in their lives without this whole investment mentality. So I'm going to introduce my godson, Patrick Connors, to talk about time, investment in time. So Patrick Connors.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks. That's fun. And yeah, this is an honor to be on the activity call. And if you're watching this call live, welcome. Thanks for taking some time out of your day and investing some time. And if you're watching this later, maybe if this is Alex's first grandkid watching this 30 years from now, welcome. And let's see if we can make this some useful time for you. So Alex hired me. Alex and Ginny hired Suzanne and me. And I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Love to be part of the Alliance. Alex and Ginny and Andy and Jane are the 4 people who, outside of my parents, my own family, have done the most for me and my family, given us the most opportunities in life, and forever grateful for that. When Alex asked me to talk about investing time, the first thing that popped into my head when I started thinking, what am I going to talk about, was episode 10. Can you imagine? Go back hundreds of episodes to episode 10 of the TWC. And Andy gave us that day the A, B, C, D, and E's, and just blew my mind. I remember Noelle Lewantowicz came and did a hot spot in a town that I was in at the time. And she said that just a few months after Andy gave us the ABCDEs, she said she had watched the TWC video 5 times and had listened to it an additional 15 times. Now, that was back in April of 2016 when Andy gave us the ABCDs. So who knows how many times she's done it now. But why would a millionaire, why would Alex's largest leader, Mike and Noelle Lewantowicz, why would Noelle have taken so much time out of her busy life to watch and internalize that talk? I don't know, but I'm going to listen to it again, and I hope you'll join me and listen to it again. I think it'd be great for us to understand how to invest time. Let me just answer a couple questions about investing time. Like, start with why. Why would we want to invest time? So the first thing I thought of was the fun things. So I always love to think of the fun things. Like, what kind of fun stuff would you like to do? What kind of fun stuff? Like, if you were on this video a few minutes early, you saw Andy Albright advertising the next trip, the all expense paid trip that the Alliance is going to do this year. What kind of trips would you like to do? You know, it's in our playbook to see all of God's creation, this whole world, and how many places can you go? It's going to take time, right? So that's a reason to create time. What about family? I mean, you want to be with your family. It's not always time consuming to be with family, but it takes time for sure. It takes time. If you want to go to something, a small thing, just you want to be at your daughter's cross country race, that takes time. Or something bigger. If you want to take your son to a national park across the country for a week and hike, that takes time. So there's fun things, you know, the dream projects you've always wanted to work on. What are those things that you would love to do, but it's going to take a week or 6 months or a year? You want to build a ship? What do you want to do? You want to hike the Pacific, you know, the coastline of the Pacific Ocean? Those things take time, these dream projects. Also, not just fun stuff, but don't we all want to be available? Like when your son says, can we play chess? Okay, that's a fun thing. But what about, can you help me with my homework? Or your son looks kind of down, like, what's wrong? And you need to take time and go play catch in the backyard and talk to him. To get him to explain stuff. You might have to throw a football or something to get him to talk. Or you want to take your daughter out for breakfast, or your grandson or granddaughter, and be there for them so that you can listen to what they're going through. That takes time. Or how about if your mom or your grandpa or somebody gets sick, takes a turn for the worse, and you want to be there to care for them? That takes time. Or what if you're having your biannual baby and you've got to be at the hospital for a couple days? That takes time. So there are lots of reasons to make. What about making a difference? You want to volunteer? You want to, when Foresters comes to town and says, we're going to build a new playground, come join us on Saturday morning. That takes 5 hours or 3 hours or however much time. Or you want to go do the latest Foresters community project. These things take time. So you can come up with a million reasons why you need time. We don't need to create time so we can play more video games. You can always find time to do that kind of stuff. But if I write down the things I want to spend my time doing, I look at those things, I'm like, I got to get that time. So Alex talked about investing. You know, maybe it's easy to think about, if I want to get money, I have to invest money. Like if I want to get sales, I need to, buy leads, invest. Or we're going to talk about investing emotion. Like, let's say you want to get somebody's love. Well, then you're going to have to give love. In order to take those withdrawals, you got to make deposits. But sometimes thinking about investing time is different, because some people have more money. Some people have less money they can invest. There's a range. Some people have more of the different emotions or less than the different emotions. But we all have exactly the same amount of time. I mean, exactly to the second. We have exactly the same amount of time. How is it that some people like Alex, how does he have more time than I do? He's got a bigger organization, yet somehow he's on longer vacations. He's visiting family. He's helping this person. He's going out there. How does he have this more time? He doesn't. He has exactly the same amount of time that I do. Exactly to the second. So how do I create that time? I can't create time like God can create time, but I can take the 168 hours I have and I can take some things out of it that I don't need. So here's a game that we can all do to create time. Alex taught us this at one of our local hotspot meetings. If you haven't been to a local hotspot meeting lately, you learn so much stuff there. I learned so much stuff there. So what he said was, play a game with yourself. Just start write down all the different things you do in a week. For example, let's say you sleep an hour, 6 hours at night. Okay, so write down 6 times 7, right? Let's say you sleep every day. That's 42 hours. Okay, write that down. 42 hours. And let's say you like to eat 3 squares a day. So you do a half hour for breakfast, half hour for lunch, and an hour for dinner. Okay, that's 2 hours times 7. That's 14 hours. And you just go through this, I have to spend no time on my hair. Alex has to spend 5 minutes on his hair. I spend, 25 minutes showering and shaving and doing all my stuff in the bathroom. Whatever you do, write it down and multiply by 7. Maybe you go to church twice a week for a total of 3 hours. Maybe you drive your kids to school every morning. Just write it all down. And here's part of the game. See how accurate you can be. And not even the good stuff. Even put the bad stuff in there. Like I watch this show every Tuesday night or Monday Night Football. Whatever you do, just write it all down. No judging. And then when you're done with that exercise, here's the game. When you add it all up, almost all of us, it doesn't equal 168 hours. And you start to ask yourself, what am I leaving out? I mean, I've got 168 hours in a week, 24 times 7. It's right on Andy's tail on his airplane, 24/7. I've got 168, but when I go through my list, it's only 143. Where are the other 25 hours? Okay, so that's the first way you can create. Then you could, Alex taught me this. He said, trust but verify. So trust but verify. So trust your list is right, but you can play a game with yourself on this too. You can just have a little notebook or paper in your pocket or something. And every time you do something, write down the start time and the stop time. And, do it every 15-minute blocks. And you can start to see, oh, I actually sleep 7 hours a day, or I only sleep 5 hours a day, or I actually don't take any time washing my hair, or whatever it is you do or you don't do, get closer, get more precise or more accurate, get more accurate. Okay. So now you got this list of time. What do? Do you just say, well, I'm going to cut out my sleep? You can. What Alex do was take this book. It's called The Dream Manager. Okay. I think somebody's line is open.
And
so thank you. So take this book. It's by Matthew Kelly, and it's called Dream Manager. And if you go to page 124, there's a lot of books that list all the kinds of ways we can improve ourselves or things we'd like to do in life. But on page 124 of The Dream Manager, it's the best list I've ever seen. I think you'll love it. It breaks down all the different possible priorities that you might have. Good, bad, ugly. It lists them all. And you can decide what's important for you. What are the biggest priorities for you? So you've got that list. You've got your list of how you spend time, and just compare them. If you're saying it's very important to me to do these things, but you see that the amount of time you spend doesn't match those things, just cut those out. So very easy to create some time by cutting out television. That's so easy. It's like, it's a no-brainer. You could ask your 3-year-old. You could say, what are some ways I could create more time? They'll say, stop watching television. Social media, that's an easy way to cut time out, right? You could cut out, this I might start stepping on some toes. I don't mean to, but just an example. If you spend 2 hours every day working on your body, making your body look perfect, you could do that. You could cut that down to like an hour and a half or 20 minutes. And you say, but then I won't have the perfect exact shape that I want. That's true. That's true. But just like investing emotion or money means you have to give a little bit, sometimes when you're investing time, it means you give up some of your health for a short period of time, or give up, instead of cooking long meals, maybe just grab and go, make a casserole one time a week. And then, you can eat faster. So that's an example of how you can create time. But then there comes to some sacrifices. There's some really good stuff you do in your calendar too. But maybe you could sacrifice that kind of stuff. Like maybe if you're at church every day of the week, maybe you could figure out another way to do church. For example, you can, when you're driving your kids to school, why not have a discussion about a reading from the good book that morning on the way to school? I'm just saying, there's lots of good things that take our time too, but we can figure out how to compress those time frames. And then the last part of the topic. So once you've figured out how to create time and what's important to you and why you want to create time, where can you spend your time? In the Alliance, the best way to create time is doing the IPAs. That's the best way to take the time that you're investing and turn it into more time. And that's by doing IPAs, income producing activities. And one of them is you're spending time either selling or scheduling time to do a sale. The other IPA is meeting with somebody to bring them on board the team, or dialing or scheduling time to meet with somebody to bring them on board the team. Those are really the only IPAs. You also can work on the 8 steps to success. Here's one of the earlier versions of Andy's famous book, 8 Steps to Success. If you've never read this, it's just chock full of good stuff. And so you can do the 8 steps to success, like going to breakthrough. Like that's going to be such a great investment of time. Or you can reading the right kinds of books, not all books, but the stuff that your upline said. Or how about counseling with your upline manager, your growing upline leader, the person in your upline who cares the most about your success and who is also growing, spending time with them to find out what you can do next. These are some of the greatest ways to invest. And if you do those things, the IPAs, especially the recruiting side, when it comes to creating time, and reading the books on Andy's book list, starting with the 8 steps to success, and getting one-on-one counseling time with your growing upline leader. If you invest your time doing those things, you'll get so much more time back. I hope that's helpful to us later on.
Dude, that rocks, man. I love it. I love it. Hope y'all are taking notes. And this is a man who has 11 children with Suzanne Connors, his lovely wife. Awesome, awesome kids. And so Patrick has had to learn how to budget and invest his time properly. What's really great about Patrick and his organization is that he started recruiting from day one and then really amped it up later in his business when he realized that he didn't want all his income dependent on himself. So one of the best ways to leverage time is through recruiting and building a team, because when you invest time in building a team, you reap the rewards of time back. Not that you stop doing work or you stop, it's a different type of time that you invest. So, dude, that rocks. Here's another great book on time management and understanding. If you want to be in the big boy room and the big girl room, you have to get out of the 40-hour-a-week mentality. And it's a great book called Off Balance by Matthew Kelly. And I would highly recommend that book when you're thinking about the investment of time. And here's one more thing. Let me just add. Yeah, I was going to find mine. Off Balance is that when you get in a business like this, where everything's based on you producing, it's not job mentality. It's not a salary coming in. Everything is on you. Then here's the way that I always thought in my business is that if I'm spending time away from my family, right, I better be doing something useful, important, profitable, because that's on me. I'm supporting them. So am I, going to a no-show and then I just sit there sulking, going to McDonald's and having another sundae and sulking that, I've got another hour before my next appointment, or I'm on the phone slamming it in the person's driveway who no-showed me. And what am I doing with my time? That's super important. So I'm going to bring up our next guest speaker. And this is probably one of the finest examples of investing money. Mike has a stock portfolio that is second to none. But the reason why he has that is because he's learned how to invest his money. One of the greatest stories when we got started is Mike and Noelle just immediately understood the power of investing. And I think they ran their credit cards up to like 60 grand or so. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying, people that are millionaires now have done that getting started. And within a matter of a few months, they paid it all off. just like that's the whole idea, right? Investing money. And Mike is probably one of the best examples. So I turn it over to Mike Lewantowicz to talk about investment of money.
There we go. All right. Hey, I'm glad to be here. Patrick, Alex, appreciate you talking. And just, come back. It's like, just to echo, time is more valuable than money. So it goes first. You can always create more money. You cannot create more time. So time becomes more precious. People ask when they're planning, leads. I need leads. I know leads is easy. Plan your time first. We'll find ways to get leads. And when you're looking at how do I leverage money, and everything's about leverage, time, leveraging time. We're going to talk about investing in staff to create time, because when we talk about the A, B, C, D's and E's, well, the delegate, you can't delegate without staff, and you can't have staff without money. So they go hand in hand as we're thinking about this. So as we looked at investing, and I think even a quick comment on debt, going into debt to buy doodads is stupid. Going into debt to leverage debt to buy cash flow is okay. Growing your business is okay. I mean, we learned, hey, look, you've heard Andy tell a story. When he went to get rolling his business, I think he made 200-some thousand in his first year, and he probably spent 300,000, meaning he put more back in than what he took out. He knew he wanted to grow fast. He said, was that a good decision? Well, he's got 2 jets now. So from that angle, yeah, it is smart, and being bold there makes sense. So the ability to be intentional about what I'm doing, where I'm placing it. Now, where can I go to put that money? Where can I go? What should be the order? Warren Buffett, Andy Albright have always told me 2 places, or both people have told me the same thing. First place to invest is in yourself. First place to invest is yourself. Now, that could mean education. Does that mean college necessarily? No. College could be a place if you think that's a good return. I'm not going to get into a debate. I could argue some cases it is and isn't the best place for a person. But you're there to learn. Okay, great. In our world, specifically, it's okay. If somebody said, Mike, where's the best place I can invest my business right now to invest in me? It would be get to breakthrough. And why breakthrough? Well, here's what I know. Mark Aceta is going to spend 4 intense days helping people understand themselves, the psychology of themselves and psychology of other people, and how to take that into a sales equation. So if you're struggling on selling and you're like, gosh, I seem to not be good, I will tell you that breakthrough will help you know yourself and know who you're talking to and how to communicate and move these people. And if you're building a sales team, using the same skill set in building a sales team. So there's going to be several, that's one element or a couple elements of what's there. And I'm at a point where I'm still working on getting better at moving people. And so the skill set is huge in being able to invest in yourself. And here's what's crazy for the people that don't know the value of that. There are people I know in the Alliance that went to this breakthrough event put on by Mark Aceta in other parts of the world before they found the Alliance, and they've paid $6,000 or $7,000 to be there. For those that don't know, Michelle Alleman, who's been a top 10 perennial producer, had an impact in her selling career because she was at this breakthrough event before she found the Alliance. So people wonder, how did Michelle come on board, and how did she, or I think it was like 8,000 or 9,000 in her first month when she got started? Simply because she learned some great stuff from some other tools that she was able to put in place when she got here. So breakthrough would be one of the first places I'd be investing myself, but making sure you have a path, whether it's what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're hanging around, but you got to take care of yourself, because as you're getting rolling, you are the most important asset in your business. And whatever money you've got to do it, you've got to have it, you've got to get it, you've got to fight to get it. At times when you're beginning, you've got to justify it. You may have other competing things, or where should I be putting my money? And I tell you what, coming back to you is a key thing. Being around, the investing in, hey, I need to fly to get around somebody. We'll talk more about that. But number 1 is you. Number 2, if you're getting rolling, leads. You need leads, whether it's leads for selling or leads for recruiting. Leads cost money. Either you are a marketing system or you have a marketing system. It's funny because people are out there, they're talking to other potential agents or agents that are working in another company. And I'm not going to get a name of the companies, but the ones where there's so many of them whose sole mission in hiring an agent is to only work through that agent's warm market for clients, or have that agent knocking on doors of businesses, and there the agent is the marketing system. Look, you don't get paid if you are the marketing system. We make money because we use a marketing system, and the trade-off is time for access, or money for access, and not wasting time. And so having leads is what's going to help you. Now, we've got a number of set of lead tools that work. Our direct mails leads are still awesome. It's funny, while there's a number of people have gone to a lot of internet-based leads, and I endorse those, our direct mail leads are still a staple and still work well. When other companies have zigged, we continue to zag, and that continues to pay off. And I'm a big believer in actually having multiple lines in the water in the same geographic space. That's what Megan Wood has continued to do, and that she's got direct mail, bang, bang, internet, this, that, and the other thing, mortgage protection, final expense, Medicare savings, all in the same market. So she's got multiple people to see in the same place without having to play county hopscotch across the whole state, which is why she gets referrals and secondary sales in the same market. And so, but the investment of being able to come in and put money down to create more lead flow is huge. Being able, if you've got a steady piece that's working, that you're comfortable with lead-wise, I will tell you, leads change. There are seasons at times for leads, and you probably need to be investing more a little bit into another lead type that you're not comfortable with yet. But I've always liked this. I've always wanted this. I just want it to stay the same. I'm with you. I hate change. But change is happening faster than before. And so investing in another lead type that you can start getting comfortable with in case your other well dries up. If you've not read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, it's like they could call it Who Moved My Leads, because there's a bunch of agents that need to know this and read this book. My leads ain't working. I'm sorry to tell you this. You have got to invest time in finding another source that's going to work in addition to your main source, because something's going to shift at some point, and you can be prepared or ill prepared, your choice. All right, leads. How much? If you're a brand new agent, plan to invest 25 or 30% of your desired revenue. First year agents, that's what I see. Why? Because you haven't built up any renewals or much of a referral base or back end money or overrides. Anticipate that. Leads. What if I'm a leader? What should I be doing? Well, do you have money that you're willing to help a new agent out with in leads? We can start an agent. We have choices at a lower contract level where we help them invest in leads, or at a higher contract where they're covering their own leads, or somewhere in between. But as a leader, I've got to have money to deploy leads. That's another area where we can help get agents moving and started if we're paying attention and prepared for that. So leads on the selling side is big. Leads on the recruiting side, what are you doing to look for other people? There's a bunch of tools out there, whether, and we can get into all of those. You could buy interviews that are set up by President's Club. And our team, we book interviews for agents. We have a service that we do that. You can run your own ZipRecruiter. You can run your own Facebook ads. You can do a lot of different things. That's the crazy thing with technology. There's a lot of tools you can use to recruit. There's even free tools if you have the time, which comes back to staff we're going to get to next. If you got staff, you can deploy staff to help you in these other areas as well. So they're free in that you're not paying cash to utilize them, but it's taking time where you need staff, which again is going to take money there. So pay attention to what tools are available and how are we using it, and what are we doing to invest to grow. All right, third, staff. Either you have a staff person or you are a staff person. But Mike, I'm just getting started. Yeah, Andy told us y'all need to be getting staff quickly in your business. We waited till 3 years in, and that was too late. We would have grown faster had we figured out how to leverage staff sooner. I made the mistake of trying to make Noelle my staff person to handle my pending. That did not go over well. Okay. It's one of them things where I thought it sounded like a good idea at a time. You know, she was home with the kids and she would want to just help this and do that. And no, it didn't go well. You can't make your staff person you can't make your spouse your slave. Now, if your spouse wants to help out a girlfriend, that's nice. But I'll tell you, be prepared that it may not work, and be prepared to pay somebody to assist you. Okay. Just be aware you're going to need that. And on staff, it might start small. You know, your first staff person, hey, maybe it's your lawn care. Maybe that's your first. Maybe it's not a full-time staff person, but what can you delegate? Your first staff might be who you delegating to help out with simple things, such as, you know, I'll put down your lawn care. Hey, I love mowing the lawn. I said, that's great. I said, but is it really, if mowing the lawn is worth $15 an hour and your time is worth $50 an hour or $100 an hour, why are you doing it? You know, it's like, you can leverage your time better. You know, I don't own a lawnmower. We bought our house. I was at close. I said, who cuts the grass? This guy. I said, great. Give me his number. Same guy's been cutting the grass since we got our house. 15 years ago. It's like, same guy. I don't touch the blade of grass. Okay. Refuse to. It's not worth my time. Same thing. I don't do mulching. I don't do weeding. None of that. Sometimes our kids do something. No, not me. I'm okay if you do, just, are you doing it because it's fun? I said, but if you're building a business and you're in growth mode, you ain't got time for that. Childcare. Okay. Childcare is, you got kids. Hey, look, you want a business? You're going to have to find time away from your kids. You're going to have to find time away from your kids, and you're probably going to have to build a bullpen. We could probably talk for 30 minutes just on how do you build a bullpen of childcare, because you need a primary and probably 2 or 3 quality backups. I don't want to leave my kids. I get that. I don't want to either, but I wanted to spend more time with my kids, which meant I had to leave. I had to give up some time to spend more time. And I had to find, Noelle and we had to find quality people to help out. And it took searching, it took paying them well. And that was a big piece of that. House care, you know, whether it's cleaning, little maintenance things, whatever else you can delegate there. So you've got more time to focus on A and B activities. And then from there, we start to get into, okay, as you actually look to employ somebody to help in your business, what are the first big areas? Can be helping out with pending, can be helping out with recruiting, following up with new agents on basic things. That staffer is not going to be able to train your agents, but they can make sure they know how to get them through contracting, make sure they're licensed, questions on how do I get this license in this state, whatever. Little things like that, your staff can be equipped to help you with. And then from there, raising the caliber of staff that you bring on. So these are the big things on the staffing side. Fourth big thing, travel. What are you watching Andy do over the last, this week and next week? He's dropped $150,000 on travel between him, his staff, the planes, or whatever else. He understands it's important. And one, he's trying to set the example, and he's encouraging other people to do that. I know I'm going to be in Tampa next week for a couple of days, and we're finding other places. Noelle is in Indianapolis the other day, back here. But when you travel, good things happen. When you are face-to-face with people, good things happen. As much as I would like to tell you, we're remote, we can build our whole business by Zoom, that's not the case. Being face-to-face with people is, if you want to see someone who's growing, look who's traveling. And I just say, be aware, buying plane tickets or driving, renting cars, hotels, whatever it is, getting out on the road, pressing the flesh. I know for a little bit with COVID, maybe some people got a little bit anchored in and felt like they need to stay at home. I'm telling you, you got to be able to get out and connect with people. Relationships are what drives our business. And without being in front of people, the quality of the relationship is just not as good. So making sure you're aware of that. Jake Joseph was out this past week. Proud of him. I know he was in Indianapolis. He was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He was here in Louisville, and he was down in Nashville. And today he's over in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm watching that couple, and I watch their business I think a year ago they were doing 30,000. They're coming right up on 100,000, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them doing 250 to 500,000 in the next 6 to 12 months and go into $1 million, just because they understand. I've watched them, by the way, go out. I've watched them hire staff a year ago. I watched them open up an office in January. I've watched them hire more staff. I've watched them travel. I've watched them invest in leads themselves and other people. And I've watched them invest in themselves. And so when you've got somebody that's investing all 5 of the things, you're going to see their business grow. That's huge. So traveling to build relationships, traveling to get around leaders, massive. And then last, office space. Office space is there for you to have a focused place outside of the house. It's for you to have a place where your staff can be, where you can nurture them, where they're free to be, where you don't have to feel like they're walking on pins and needles in your personal space. When we started, we had a townhouse and we had one level that was for our staff. That was a great starting point, but we knew that was temporary. We knew we needed to get out and get an office space, whether it's a shared resource office space like WeWork or something like that, whatever that is, getting out and doing that. If you're building locally, a place where other agents can come and dial, as well as your staff, having a place to gather and work and call home, or create an oasis, because a lot of people need structure. Your staff needs structure. You need structure. Your agents need structure. So heads up on that. Those are the 5 areas to deploy money to help your business grow. Alex, people that are doing that are growing like crazy and doing it with thoughtfulness, but appreciate what you've done, leading the way and connecting us to help make things happen.
Thanks, Mike. That's awesome. I know people are going, like the brand new people are, I'm just trying to, scrape some money together to get, some old bonus leads, some old, 3A leads, whatever. And so the whole idea of spending $1,000 just to get to a function, tell you what, man, I knew the value of functions from other businesses I've been in. I never compromised. I went to everyone that I could. And the ones I couldn't afford, I sold stuff. I sold guitars and amps. I'm into guitars and amps, vintage guitars and amps. I sold nearly everything I had to get to functions. Now I've got I've got over 30 plus guitars and an amp collection that's probably worth about 30 grand. But I would not have had the ability to do that had I not invested in me by selling all that stuff. It's like you have to sacrifice and give away in order to get. And that's one of the most important things. Never use the excuse, well, I don't have the money you guys have. Brother, sister, don't ever say that to us, because we didn't either. Well, I don't got the money. It's like, shut that heck up, because we didn't, but we stepped out on faith. We did crazy stuff to get the money to invest in functions and things that we needed to invest in, right? So you got to get over that broke mentality, gang, and you got to get into wealth mentality, which is, what do I need to do? Be resourceful, sell stuff, sell insurance. What a concept. Well, I don't got enough money for leads. Well, why don't you put the list of your Christmas card list and start talking to them? Well, I got in this because I wanted leads. Well, which way do you want it, man? Don't give me excuses. Why don't you give me reasons why you need to do what you need to do, and I will help you. We all will help you with what you need to do. So I'm going to bring up, I think, the passion and fire of the Alliance. If you want to look at the heart of the Alliance, you look at Noelle Lewantowicz, because she's got the passion and fire. And I want her to talk about investing emotions. So Noelle Lewantowicz, let's rock.
Hi, can you hear me okay, Andy? Or
Yep.
Alex? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Thank you so
Call me
much
in.
for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. I got the text from Alex and I was so excited to be on. So thank you so much. Thank you to Annie and Jane. We were so, talk about emotion. I mean, the past a couple days has been very emotional for me, because I was up in Indianapolis with Andy and Jane when they were doing a meeting up there, drove up there, and then they came to our office, which for Mike and I is very exciting for them to come to Louisville and spend time with us and our team. And for us to be able to show them our office, to actually have an office is really cool. So there's a lot of emotion the last couple of days. I want to thank Alex because, and I'm going to get emotional right now, because had he not opened the door for me and invited me to join this business, I just don't know where I would be. I don't know where my family would be. And I'm thankful and grateful for Alex and the opportunity to be here right now. And I just know we're changing the world. So that's why I get so emotional about it. But how do we control all these exciting emotions or these negative emotions? We all have them. Okay. So let's talk about that. Patrick talked about the time aspect, which he could talk a lot more about that with 11 kids. I promise you that. But there's emotion in time spent, right? There's a lot of emotion. So that's why I think that the emotion piece or the energy we spend ties it all together. And time is the most costly one, but if you spend your emotional energy on worries, wounds, or wrongs, then you spend more time and it's more costly for you. So that's something to think about. There's also emotion that we spend through money too, right? I mean, there are families that have been destroyed because of money issues or money thoughts or money, wrongs or whatever you want to call it. And so those emotions hurt there too. So that's why I think emotions and that energy ties it all together. They're very powerful, right? Emotions are very powerful. They have the ability to help. They have the ability to hurt. They have the ability to heal. It's up to us though what we do with those emotions when we have them, right? And that's the key. Andy, sometimes you'll hear Andy talking about, stay between the lines, emotionally. Don't get too high, don't get too low. It's okay to get high and excited, but don't get too high so that you stay up in that high and then you don't do anything the next day, right? Or it's okay to get low. We all have our low moments, but don't stay down there because it'll cause your momentum to decline and stuff like that. But so it's a very powerful resource. It's how we use them, how we steer them that matters, right? Let's work on, and I'm talking to myself, okay? But let's work on steering them to the positive side, right? And the gratitude side. And I think that's what Andy has done so well, and to all the top leaders, Alex and others, it's thinking about the gratitude piece and the positive side. So how do we do that? How do we do this? We got to put the good stuff in first. We talked about it before, the positive thoughts, the positive thinking, reading, associating, getting around the leaders, spending the time and the money to get around the leaders. If not for anyone else, for yourself, because Mike mentioned it, invest in yourself first. You got to put the good stuff in. You got to get around the right thought process. Speaking what you want and not what you don't want. I tell my kids this all the time. And I told this to somebody the other day. I was like, speak what you want, not what you don't want. Okay. Very powerful. There's a book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter that talks, and it's on audio too. Somebody told me the other day they were listening. That's okay. You need to read too, but it's okay to listen to the audio. That's fine if it's helping you, right? So what you speak, so we're working on ourselves here first, right? So what you speak to yourself. I will say this about one thing that drives me crazy. So I'm just going to tell you one thing that drives me crazy. And when I catch myself doing it, it drives me really crazy. Is take the word only out of the sentence. So for example, if you're doing a dial session or you're recruiting or hiring, and let's say you dialed and you ran 12 appointments, take the word I only helped 3 of those out of your vocabulary. Say, I helped 3 of those. So I ran 12 appointments. I helped 3 of those, not I only helped 3 of those. Why? Well, you could probably just hear the difference. Like say it to yourself, because it diminishes what you did. when you take that out. So anyway, so we wake up every morning and we get to pick. Good news, right? We get to pick. You get to decide what role you're going to play today, what character we're going to be today, who we're going to be. And just before this call, I will tell you, I was not the person that I wanted to be this morning. Mike will tell you, because he happened to be sitting in my office. But we got a call, and I had to, I have to step back and think about my emotions. It was not a call I wanted. It was something that I felt like I was wronged. Okay. I'll just say it like that. So this happened just this morning, right before this call. So I was like, okay, I know I know I got a character and a role to play, but here's the thing. Every day I got a role to play. I want to be better. So we can provide an opportunity and be an example, right? So an example for ourselves too, though, which is maybe it's the most important. So what do? First of all, for Mike, I was like, I think I even said this to him. I just need to get this out. Okay. I'm just going to get it out. And then I'm not going to say anything else about it. For me, that helps. If I can just get it out to somebody. Now, it's got to be the right person. So get it out to your husband if you're able to do that, or your spouse, or your mama, or your brother, somebody like that. Or your upline. Okay, because most of us can handle it. Your upline being your upline leader, like Alex, I didn't have a chance to call him and tell him about it. Get it up to, or here's the bigger thing. How about we just give it up to God? And that's what I did. So I said a little, I do this all the time. I say a little prayer. God, use me today, no matter how big or how small. No matter what my thought process is, what your thought process is. Christ in me, Christ with me, Christ through me. And that helps me to move on beyond these things. Okay, here we go. Real achievers operate from the heart first. Okay, so you're going to have to use your emotions with that, right? They believe in everybody. Like if you look at Andy, Alex, all the top, they believe in everybody, right? They don't wait for everybody, but they believe in everybody. So, and I mentioned it before, we provide leaders, achievers, they provide an opportunity and example. An opportunity and example, and they don't wait. And they take risks with their time, their money, and their heart. If you're in this business, you're going to take risks with your heart too. Big ones, okay? And when we give our heart and invest those emotions, that love, we have a couple things we need to remember. There's probably more, but I wrote down 3. Most people don't see themselves as winners. So knowing that most people don't see themselves as winners, they don't believe if they can do it. So they don't see themselves as winners. They don't believe that they can do it. Now, this is most people we're talking about. I'm not talking about everybody. And this is something I think everybody has, though. The third one I wrote down, they have little tiny voices in their heads. That little voice is speaking in their heads that doubt. They have doubts, okay? They have self-confidence. Now that might not show on the outside, but all of us have those little negative voices in our heads, right? So knowing these things, what can we do? Right? What can we do? Well, we can be positive and uplifting, right? We can be positive. We can speak positive into people even when they don't speak positive into themselves. Encourage them to do that themselves, though, too. And then we can empower them. Give them the resources, the tools, the examples that they need. Invite them to the meetings. Invite them around the team. Keep inviting people, okay? Eventually, they might change. They might not come the first event, but if we keep inviting them, they'll come. Don't assume that they don't come the first time doesn't mean that they ever want to come. Megan Wood did not come to the first convention that we invited her to come to, okay? But she comes to everyone now, okay? And then be the example and do what you need to do, right? Don't wait for everybody. Okay. That's what we can do. Here's one little story for you. So God performs miracles through people like me and you. Did you know that? It's crazy. So Andy told me this a while ago. I was in a meeting in Cincinnati. I'll never forget it. He leaned into my ear and he said, God uses people and you and I are people. I was like, what? You mean I'm one of those? Because I think about the Bible, right? The Bible, right? Whatever. But there's all kinds of stories in there about people, like normal people, that they fishermen and carpenters and all these normal people, right? Everyday people walking around, and God used them. So I was like, oh, you mean I'm one of them? So that was like, wow, that was empowering, but it was also like, oh my gosh, I really do need to listen to what all those positive voices in my head and get rid of those negative voices out of my head, right? The good news is here is also that we're all imperfect, so we don't have to be perfect at this, all right? Accept that you are not perfect. Accept that none of us are perfect. Therefore, accept that I am not perfect. You are not perfect. Accept that. And here's the good news. We don't need to be. Because God used all those people in the Bible and all the people walking around today, and none of them are perfect, so we don't need to be. He's using them however they need to be used at that moment. Okay? And I think that's the power of this call, too. All right, here we go. I know I got to rush. So what is the learning? What are some takeaways here? Don't take it personal. If somebody does you a wrong, or you have a worry, or you have something negative, don't take it personal. Okay. It's not about you. If most people, you feel hurt or wounded by somebody, it's not you. Okay. It's about them. I promise you, those clients that hang up on you are not thinking about you. I tell agents that all the time. I'm like, they don't care about you. Why do you care about them as much? Say a little prayer for them, and let's call them again the next time we make a dial session, right? So don't take it personal. It's not about me. It's never about me. Okay. They're thinking about themselves. And it's about their outlook and their perspective about what's going on with them right now. Okay. Not what's going on with me, what's going on with them. It's their lack of confidence, not yours. Okay. This is what helps for me not to internalize these things, because I know it can be very powerful. I'm not minimizing any situation, but this helps me not internalize it. Okay. Release it as fast as you can. Like this morning, that call, that came, I was like, I got to get this out of me as quick as possible. Right. So that you can get past it fast. Okay. And that comes to forgiveness too. A lot of times, right? We have to forgive. So forgiving is powerful. Now, this doesn't mean that you get walked over. Okay. You can be strong, confident, example, moving fast and doing all these things, but that doesn't mean you get walked over. Okay. But forgiveness is very powerful, and it's here. I'll just tell you one story real quickly, and then I'm going to hand it back to Alex. My sister, not many people know this, I'll just tell you. My sister, Nita, was killed by her fiance and shot in the head, killed. Okay. There was a trial, got up at the trial, and I forgave him. A lot of people didn't agree with that. Okay. But here's the thing I'll tell you about forgiveness. It's very powerful. It's also can be selfish, because in my way, it was very selfish. And here's why. Because I wasn't forgiving him like I was forgiving him truly. I wanted him to turn his life around and all those things. It allowed him to move on. But here's the selfish thing. I was doing it for myself. So I could move on and move past it and move beyond it and move faster and get through it. Okay. So that forgiveness gives you an opportunity to use your time better, and use your money better, and use your emotions better. Okay. So think about that with all the stuff going on, and we all have stuff. And I know I'm not minimizing anybody's situation. I'm just telling you, this is how successful achievers do it. This is how Andy does it. He's been wronged many times, and recently too. Okay. So, anyway, that's what's helped me. I think if we all take all these things that we're sharing today, and we take bits and pieces and use that every day to get a little bit better, we're changing the world with this call. Okay, so pass it on along. All right, Alex, I want to turn it back to you.
Oh, wow. I am so full. When I think the quality of the people I've surrounded myself with continue to pour into me, like on this call, is just, it's real humbling. And you guys need to find the people that you care about, that you can serve. Because when you serve, they serve you in so many ways. And that's probably the point of all this, isn't it? Is that we have time, money, and emotion to invest in others and invest in ourselves, invest in our families. But what you get back from it goes way beyond the time, money, and emotion. It is what God has given us. You know, Jesus has no body but yours. You know, you are his hands and feet. You are his ability to love. And when you get to appreciate that from a gratefulness perspective, you bring people on a call like this that you love and care about so deeply from 20 plus years, 30 years, and they're able to love on other people and serve other people. I think, thank God, why? It's incredible, Lord, that you've been blessing me with this, because I see what they've been able to do to other people. When you mentioned Jake and Veray and all the folks that have benefited from Andy calling me up and saying, hey, dude, I think I got something. From that point, it started to ripple and propagate through literally the world. Literally the world. I had someone in Australia call me, and he goes, I watch your videos and I just want you to know how much it's helped me. I'm going, seriously? Like, oh my gosh, this is the impact that we have. We're changing lives every day, whether you know it or not. And that's why we have to be on our game. We have to invest in ourselves. We have to not let emotions rule us. We have to let what we do inform our emotions, the positiveness of what we do. Commitment to continuity yields emotional stability. The commitment to investing time, money, and emotion in yourself and in others, right? And we have an opportunity, you have an opportunity to change your life. When has anyone ever come up to you and said, hey, dude, we have a life-changing event coming up? It literally will change how you think. And that's what we did with our time, our 168 hours. Why we are where we are is because we changed how we think. And the opportunity to change how you think is coming up. Breakthrough. You've heard it. If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times. September 29th through October 3rd. When I found out about it, I signed up right away. Why? Because that's what I do. My emotional stability comes from what I do. And I do this stuff consistently. I would be around Andy if, I was at my 40th Air Force Academy reunion. And I'll tell you what, man, some of the best people that I've associated with served their country in the Air Force. Some died. Some of my classmates became Secretary of the Air Force, 4-star generals, and their impact on the world is tremendous. But I look at what we do and it's like, man, I am everything starts with me. So everything starts with you. And why wouldn't you take an opportunity to change your life at Breakthrough? I've never been to Breakthrough, but here's what I know, is that if all the top people in business and the top people earning in the alliance are going to be there, how dare you think that you shouldn't be there? Unless you have a small dream, unless you have a dream to, just eke out a living in the insurance business. But if you want to truly thrive and want to change your life and how you think about the direction you're going, I don't know that you should be anywhere else except at Breakthrough. But Alice, it's so expensive. Well, why don't you sell a couple of policies, man? You sell a couple of policies, you got the money to go to breakthrough, right? Whatever it takes. If I had to leave you with a phrase, it's whatever it takes, because every person that talked on this call did whatever it takes to be wherever they needed to be in order to change their lives. And you will have that opportunity to change your life. And this does not come every, well, I'll go to the next one. Dude, the next one might be 2 years from now. Why are you going to delay your success? It is insane to think that Andy has invested an opportunity that other people are paying $5,000 for whatever we're paying. It's like, I don't care what it costs. I am going to go there. Like, I don't even know how much it costs. I don't care, because it's worth every dime, every cent, right? To change my thinking so I could change the rest of my life and for my family. And so I hope that you can come away thinking that I got to sign up for that. I promise you, it will be the best thing, the best decision you've made. And you will look back on that decision and you're going to say, man, I'm so glad that I did what Mike, Noelle, Patrick, and Alex talked about, which is investing your time, money, and emotion, first in yourself and then in other people. And the rewards will be 100-fold, I promise. God bless everybody. Thanks, Andy and Jane, for investing in me and loving me, investing your time, money, emotion in me, because now we've got it in multiples to invest in others. God bless everybody. Rock on.
Record.